各位早晨，好歡迎同埋好多謝大家今日嚟到呢烹飪示範嘅。我叫做趙佩欣，我嘅拍檔 Joanna Chin 兩個都係紐約市老齡局嘅註冊營養師。今日我會用廣東話嚟到煮呢個西湖牛肉羹，而我嘅拍檔 Joanna 前營養師會翻譯成英文嘅。我哋嘅主持係兩位營養實習生 Octavia 同埋 Shua。我哋嘅今日嘅烹飪示範咧係會錄低嘅喎。
Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining today. My name is Joanna Chin, and I'm a registered dietitian with the New York City Department for the Aging. And today I'm here with my partner, Brianna Chu, who is also a registered dietitian with the team, and she's cooking in Cantonese while I'm translating in English. And moderating our cooking demo for us today are Ti Hua and Octavia, who are our dietetic interns. This cooking demo will be recorded.
咁今日嘅活動咧係由 ACL Grant 補助金同埋紐約市老齡局嚟到贊助嘅。
This event has been brought to you by the ACL Grant Virtual Smart Living Initiative in partnership with the New York City Department for the Aging.
咁想提醒一下啦，你哋所有中心咧應該喺5月嘅時候咧收到 DFTA 關於計算網上教育單位嘅電子郵件啦，咁同埋上年12月咧都會收到關於營養教育嘅備忘錄喎。咁如果你有咩問題嘅話咧，咁記住聯絡你嘅策劃員或者營養師。
And a quick reminder that all the centers and programs should have received an email in May from the Department of Aging about counting virtual programming units and a memo in December of last year about nutrition education. If you have any questions about that, please contact your program officer or nutritionist.
咁如果你未收到消息嘅話咧，我哋下一個嘅烹飪示範咧就係喺下年嘅1月18號，係星期3嚟到舉行嘅。咁到時咧會教大家咧點樣煮呢個白腰豆湯喎，咁記住留意日期同埋咧留意個傳單啊。
Okay, and it's a pleasure to have you all here today for this cooking demo. And if you haven't heard yet, our next cooking demo will be on Wednesday, January 18th, and we'll be teaching you how to make Tuscan white bean stew. So mark your calendars and look out for those flyers.
咁另外一個好好嘅消息咧，就係我哋呢個補助金 ACL Grant 咧提供嘅免費嘅營養諮詢服務喎。咁如果你有糖尿病啦、高血壓、高膽固醇、腎病等等咧，或者你想減肥增肥，或者你想要個心臟健康或者普通健康嘅飲食指導咧，咁你可以預約同 Joanna 或者同我進行1對1嘅營養諮詢，咁以改善你個健康。第一次參加營養諮詢咧，都會收到我哋寄出嘅營養教育贈品嘅。咁你點樣可以聯絡我哋咧？你可以發電郵俾我哋啦。咁個電郵咧就係 virtualsmartliving@aging.nyc.gov。咁我哋陣間係會打出嚟俾你，同埋咧你亦都可以留言俾我哋嘅電話，個電話係929-262-0761。咁我哋而家將會係將呢啲資料咧擺喺我哋個聊天框裏邊嘅。
Another great service our grant provides is free virtual nutrition counseling services. If you have a condition such as diabetes, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, chronic kidney disease, or you just want to lose or gain weight, or maybe you just want to eat better in general, definitely sign up for a one-on-one session with either Brianna or I to improve your health. And for those who attend their first session with a nutritionist, you will receive a free nutrition education item, which will be mailed to your home. You can email us at virtualsmartliving@aging.nyc.gov or call us at our number at 929-262-0761. And our moderators are going to put that information in the chat box right now.
咁另外咧，我哋咧之前咧其實一路都有好多唔同嘅烹飪示範啦。咁我哋咧係有錄影嘅喎。咁所有嘅錄影咧，陣間我哋嘅主持人咧就會將已經將呢啲資料咧擺咗喺我哋個熒光幕上邊啦。
Okay, and all our cooking demos are recorded for future reference. So if you ever miss a demo and you want to come back to see it, just go to the site and all our demos are recorded and stored here.
咁點解今日我哋會煮呢個餸咧？咁其實咧，而家大家都覺得天氣越嚟越凍啦。咁如果有一碗熱辣辣嘅湯咧，就會好受歡迎，亦都好暖胃啦。咁同埋咧，我好想趁呢一個機會啦，嚟到將傳統嘅中國餐咧分享俾大家嘅。
And as we all know, as the weather is getting colder day by day, nothing is more comforting than a hot bowl of soup. So today we want to take this opportunity to share a traditional Chinese soup with you.
咁今日煮嘅西湖牛肉羹咧，係一個正宗嘅中國傳統嘅名菜啦。咁佢通常咧都會出現喺宴會嗰度咧做頭盤嘅喎。咁就算咧喺普通我哋日常嘅家常便飯咧，都好適合同埋好受歡迎嘅。好多大人同小朋友都會中意㗎。
Today we are making beef egg drop soup. It's a traditional, authentic Chinese recipe. It's often served as a starter dish in Chinese banquets or at family dinners. It's a crowd pleaser and favorite of many adults and children alike.
咁喺我哋開始之前咧，我已經洗咗手啦。咁如果你喺屋企同我哋一齊煮緊嘅話咧，就記住咧洗手，用暖水洗手20秒。
Before we get started, I've already washed my hands, and if you're following along with me at home, make sure you also wash your hands with warm water for 20 seconds first.
咁我哋而家一齊開始煮呢個西湖牛肉羹咯喎。
All right, so let's all get started and making some soup.
咁喺我哋開始之前咧，咁我介紹下啲工具啦。咁大家見到啦，呢度咧我哋有個 pot 啦，呢個係我哋煮嘢食嘅 pot。咁跟住咧，我哋有好多匙羹啊，有個大匙羹啦，而家可以撈嘢啦，有個大碗啦，跟住又有唔同嘅匙羹，有湯匙，有茶匙，咁陣間咧都係咧俾我哋去撈嘢嘅。
Okay, so for this cooking demonstration, we need a pot, a large spoon, probably a wooden spoon, a large bowl, a ladle, and a couple of mixing spoons, whether it's a teaspoon or a tablespoon.
咁我介紹下材料啦。咁我哋有1磅嘅免治嘅瘦嘅牛肉喎。咁如果咧你哋去買牛肉嘅時候咧，就記住買最瘦嗰個。見到有咁瘦得買咁瘦。咁我哋今日揀咗咧就係95% 瘦嘅超瘦嘅牛肉。咁跟住咧，我哋有2隻雞蛋啦。咁同埋咧有1茶匙半嘅鷹粟粉。咁咧，我哋喺西人嗰啲 supermarket 咧，嗰啲超市咧，就通常咧都係會見到呢個牌子啦。咁我爸爸咧就教我喎，原來咧我哋仲有一個牌子咧，中國嘅超市就會買到㗎啦。呢個叫 potato starch， 因為呢一個咧打芡起上嚟嘅時候咧，就會比較個湯咧就會厚底啲啦，就好飲啲啦。尤其是我哋今日整金穗啦，所以我就用咗呢個 potato starch。但係如果屋企冇咧，用翻平時嗰個都得嘅。咁跟住咧，另外咧，我哋有半杯水啦。咁同埋咧1茶匙嘅鹽，仲有少少胡椒粉咧。咁我2個都擺埋一齊嘅。
For the ingredients that you will need today is 1 pound of lean ground beef. You want to try to find the leanest kind that you can find in the supermarket, typically 95% lean or higher. She's got 2 eggs or already mixed together, 1.5 tablespoons of cornstarch or potato starch, whichever one you can find, half a cup of water, 1 teaspoon of salt mixed with a dash of pepper.
咁我哋有晒工具、有晒食材嘅時候咧，咁我哋就開始煮啦。咁頭先咧，因為時間嘅關係咧，我已經煲咗一煲熱水噶啦。咁但係而家咧就再煲滾佢啦。
Now that we have all our tools and ingredients, we can start cooking. And Brianna has already got heated up a pot of hot water to get started.
咁喺我哋等水再滾起嘅期間咧，咁我哋就將啲牛肉免治牛肉碎咧，就擺喺個大碗裏邊啦。
And while we're waiting for the water to reboil, we're going to place the ground beef into a large bowl.
咁我哋嗰杯水咧，頭先嗰個半杯水嘅用途咧，就係擺入去嘅。咁跟住咧就要 mix 起佢。
We're going to add the half a cup of water to the beef and stir.
係啦，咁樣做嘅原因咧，係可以令到啲牛肉咧嫩滑啲啦，同埋咧陣間擺入去我哋個湯嗰度咧，就容易散開。
This step is going to help the beef soften up a little bit and is not going to clump together when you add it into the boiling water.
咁同埋咧，我哋係見到咧嗰啲水係索咗喺牛肉裏邊嘅。
You'll see that the water is being soaked up by the beef. 咁就咁望落去咧，其實都已經見到佢好滑啦。 Just looking at it now, you can already see that the texture of the beef has changed, it's softened up a lot.
咁同一時間咧，我哋咧就已經打開咗兩個蛋啦。咁我哋呢一個時間咧，我就將佢打散佢。
So we're going to just take our 2 eggs and we're going to start beating them a little bit. 呢一個食譜咧係除咗用全隻蛋之外咧，唔可以用其他嘅egg substitute， 即係嗰啲健康啲嗰啲係唔 work 嘅喎，所以要用翻全隻嘅雞蛋。 Okay. So for this recipe, keep in mind that you need to use whole shelled eggs. Using egg beaters or any other egg substitute will not yield the same result.
咁我哋咧而家都係等緊呢個水滾啦。咁跟住咧，我哋就係會加牛肉先嘅。
Okay, so we're going to continue waiting for the water to boil.
陣間滾起嘅時候咧，你哋就容易睇啲啦。喺我手上面咧，想介紹一個肉類嘅探熱針俾大家睇喎。
I would like to show you like a meat thermometer.
係啦，咁呢一個咧好好用嘅喎，因為咧佢咧即係佢買翻嚟嘅時候咧，就會教你咧平時煮啲咩肉啦，同埋嗰個溫度係應該幾多，咁我哋陣間可以試下。
A meat thermometer is very useful to have because in this one in particular, it shows you what temperature your meat should be depending on what meat you're using.
係啊，咁我哋陣間試下，同埋我哋陣間會講下咧食物安全嗰啲資料嘅。
And later on, we're going to cover some food safety tips.
係啦，唔好意思，我攞個蓋嚟到冚一冚，等佢快啲煲起啲水下。
Brianna's going to grab a lid real quick so that the water boils a little bit faster.
咁陣間咧最緊要咧，當我哋落呢個牛肉落去嘅時候，我哋要慢慢落啦，同埋咧一定要整散佢，唔可以咧一嚿嚿咧，咁我哋煮出嚟個羹水咧就唔好噶啦。
Okay, later on when we add the beef to the hot water, we have to be careful to quickly, immediately stir the beef. Otherwise, it's going to clump together kind of like a meatball instead of being separated like ground beef.
咁同埋咧，我諗你哋大家都見到我哋擺嘅調味料咧，其實唔多，少少鹽啦。咁因為咧牛肉本身有鮮味啊，咁我哋咧就唔需要擺太多嘅調味料落去，已經美味啦。
And if you had a chance to look at the recipe, you'll notice that we don't have a lot of seasoning or extra salt added to this recipe. And that's because the beef itself is going to provide a lot of flavor.
咁啲水開始慢慢滾起啦。
And the water is starting to boil.
咁呢個時間咧，我哋其實係可以整定個芡汁嘅。咁就係頭先嗰啲potato starch 或者 corn starch 啦。咁跟住我而家咧就會加啲水喺裏邊嘅喎，跟住就 mix 起佢。
If you have your cornstarch or potato starch already separated, we can start making the thickener for the soup now. So all you have to do is add some of the water, and if you feel like you need to add a little bit more water to it to make it liquid, that's fine too.
陣間咧，我哋用嘅時候咧，就要再 mix 一 mix 先至擺入去。
And as it sits, it's going to settle a little bit. So we might have to mix it again right before we add it into the water.
咁我哋水滾咯。
Okay, now that the water is boiling,
我就將啲牛肉慢慢擺入去，記住唔好俾佢咧變成 beef ball。
we're going to slowly add the beef and stir each time.
咁呢一個食譜咧係可以供給4至6個人食嘅。
This recipe can serve up to 4 to 6 people.
記住咧，我哋咧就要攪住佢啦，唔好俾佢黐底啦，同埋唔好俾佢咧走埋一嚿。
Continue to stir, try to scrape the bottom of the pot, so just in case any stick to the bottom.
咁其實呢個時間咧，亦都咧可以將我哋嘅調味料啦，我哋頭先嘅少少鹽啦，同埋胡椒粉擺入嚟嘅。
We can add some of that salt and pepper into the pot now.
咁跟住咧，下一個 step 就係等佢一滾氣咧，佢咧就會有油啦，同埋有啲泡走出嚟，咁我哋咧就要撇油啦。
Okay, as it starts to reboil again, you'll notice that the oil will come to the surface as well as some foaming. And what we're going to do when that happens is we're going to skim off the top.
我等佢再滾氣下，因為佢已經散晒啦，咁我就唔會不停咁樣去攪佢啦。
It's important that we let this reboil before we proceed further.
咁如果大家睇到清楚嘅話，其實咧嗰啲油咧已經浮晒上面㗎啦。
If you can see, the oil has already started to rise to the top.
咁我哋一滾起咧就會撇油。
And once it boils, we're going to skim off the top of that layer of fat and oil.
咁我撇嗰陣時咧，亦都會撇走啲多咗嗰啲泡㗎喎。
And any sort of foaming can also be removed. Okay, and that should do it.
咁我哋而家咧就係時候打芡咯喎。咁頭先咧已經開咗水嘅咧，咁其實咧已經又再凝固咗啦。咁我哋又再 mix 一 mix 佢啦。
So we're now going to take our thickener, stir it up a little bit again.
打芡嗰陣時候咧，係記住咧係一路咧要攪住佢嘅喎。
Remember that as we're adding the thickener, we had to keep stirring.
唔使擺咁高啦，就唔會淥親自己啦。
Be careful not to burn yourself during this process.
咁到佢再滾起嘅時候咧，我哋就可以擺蛋啦。
Now we are going to add the egg.
咁蛋亦都係同一個方法啦，落嗰陣時咧係要攪一攪，但係又唔好攪太多喎，如果唔係啲蛋咧又會老㗎咯。
Okay, you want to stir the egg in, but you don't want to over stir either, because then it'll break it up too much.
係咪見到個顏色已經唔同晒，好靚？
So as you can see, it's already changing its texture and color.
同埋咧，會見到個芡咧係冇打咗個芡之後咧，好色勁係好靚啦，成個口感會。
In combination with the egg, after we added the thickener, the soup has changed texture into a more thickened and silky texture.
係啦，嗱咁佢其實一滾起咧，就已經成個過程已經完成，咁我哋可以熄火噶啦。
And once it's fully at a boil again, it's already done. You can turn off the heat.
係啦，如果唔係咧，就再煮嘅話咧，嗰啲蛋就會老咧，就整出嚟就唔好食啦。
And if you over boil it, the eggs are going to get hard and it's not going to be as good of a texture.
咁頭先講過啦，如果我哋屋企有呢個肉類嘅溫度計咧，咁其實我哋可以試下，我哋可以 實驗下，咁睇下大家咧，睇下佢而家幾多度啊？咁我哋咧，如果整任何碎牛肉啊、免治牛肉啊或者豬肉咧，一定要有160度嘅攝係 Fahrenheit 嘅。
We are going to use their meat thermometer to double check on the temperature of the soup because beef, pork, we always want to make sure it's cooked to 160 degrees Fahrenheit.
咁呢個咧就係200零度，咁肯定冇問題啦。
We are at 200 degrees Fahrenheit, so we are good.
嗱，將個湯咧畢出嚟之後咧，咁隨大家個口味或者大家嘅喜歡啦，你哋可以咧選擇喺上面加啲芫茜或者葱咧嚟到做裝飾嘅。
We can top off our soup with some scallion or parsley as garnish.
咁嗰啲顏色就會好靚啦，有黃色啦，又有啲綠色啦。
It's nice to throw some greens in there just for added color.
咁隨大家喜歡嘅，咁或者你有其他嘢想擺上去嘅都 OK 㗎。
And if there's any other type of toppings you'd like to add to it, that's up to your preference.
咁呢一個牛肉羹就完成咗啦，好
And
快。
the soup is quickly done.
今日咁凍咧，就好適合啦。
It's very cold today, so this is a perfect soup to drink.
咁我哋而家講下免治牛肉嘅食物安全，好唔好啊？
All right, and so we're going to talk real quick about eating beef and food safety.
咁免治嘅碎牛肉啦，或者碎豬肉等等咧，其實佢哋嘅食物風險咧係比普通新鮮嘅生肉更加高嘅喎。咁因為咧肉咧已經被攪碎啦，咁佢哋喺表面就咁喺表面嗰啲細菌咧好難洗啊。咁所以咧，如果我哋煮嘢食嘅時候煮得唔熟嘅話咧，我哋就會連菌帶埋啲肉咧食落個肚度啦。咁咧就會增加我哋患上食物中毒嘅風險。
Okay, so ground meat, like ground beef or pork, always comes with a higher risk of food contamination or bacterial growth than regular fresh raw meat. So there's a risk of foodborne bacteria in ground beef or ground pork, as the grinding process can expose more of that meat to any present bacteria, which is why it's important that we fully cook our meat. And Priyanna, I see a question here in the chat box that's asking, can we use ground turkey or ground chicken as a substitute?
絕對可以啊，因為其實牛肉唔係個個都會食啦，咁係啊，你哋係可以選擇你中意嘅碎肉嚟到整嘅。
Yes, so you can use whichever ground meat you prefer, chicken, turkey, it's up to you. And someone is also asking if you have a recipe without eggs. Some of the members have egg allergies.
可以啊，最尾嗰個 step 你可以唔加蛋咧，就咁都得嘅。
Okay, you can not, if you are allergic to eggs, you don't have to use eggs. You just kind of omit the eggs altogether. Or maybe, can I suggest tofu? Yeah.
Yes.
You could do tofu also as well.
係啦，可以加豆腐啦。咁所以咧，因為我哋所有肉牛肉啊、豬肉啊、碎咧，佢哋嗰個食物風險比較高咧。如果你屋企個雪櫃發現有啲過咗期嘅咧，就其實係要即刻掉咗佢。咁同埋咧，美國農業部咧建議我哋買翻嚟嘅免治肉咧係要即刻擺入雪櫃喎。咁同埋2日內咧一定要用咗佢。同埋咧一定要好似頭先咁樣啦，我哋徹底咁樣整熟佢啦。咁最好咧就係用我哋頭先有嘅肉類溫度計咧，咁確定有至少華氏嘅160度，呢個係 for 任何碎嘅肉嘅。
Okay, and again, the USDA recommends storing beef at 40 degrees Fahrenheit or below, or using it within 2 days. And don't keep it in your freezer for over 3 to 4 months. Make sure you write the expiration date on those as well. And always keep a meat thermometer handy so that when you're cooking with any meat that you know you're preparing it correctly. And Brianna, you worked so hard on this soup. Can we see it one more time?
Oh yeah，我頭先想揾個位擺，我擺翻個 tray 上嚟啊。睇唔睇到？
A little bit higher, I think. Yeah. Can we get a nice
Okay.
zoom in maybe on your
Close up.
camera too? Yeah. Yeah, and someone did point out that it does look like egg drop soup. Is there,
Yeah.
I think Miss Alona Hill. Yes, so this is beef egg drop soup.
And it's delicious.
It looks delicious, Brianna.
Thank you. 咁大家知唔知道牛肉羹可以擺幾耐啊？
Does anyone know how long you can store beef in the freezer for?
咁個答案咧就係咧，如果我哋擺得啱，即係話咧唔好攤出嚟喺溫室多過2個鐘咧，咁其實我哋食剩咗咧可以擺喺個雪櫃咧3至4日嘅。
Oh, sorry, beef egg drop soup. We can keep that as long as we are storing it properly. We could store it for 3 to 4 days in the refrigerator.
咁如果自己一個人啦，煮咗成鍋啦，咁冇理由一次過要食晒噶嘛。咁其實咧你可以擺喺冰櫃裏邊嘅喎，咁但係咧就要擺喺個密封嘅保鮮盒裏邊，咁擺喺冰箱嗰度咧可以擺4個月嘅。
Okay. And say that you are cooking a large batch and you can't finish everything within 3 to 4 days. You feel free to put it in an airtight container and you can freeze it for next time. That can be stored for up to 4 months.
咁不如講下啲中國人嗰啲湯啦。咁大家有冇聽過滾湯健康過老火湯咩？
So Chinese people talk about how soup is good for you. And so are any of you familiar with basically double boiling soup?
咁其實咧，我哋係有2種啦。第一種係滾湯啦，咁通常喺1個小時內咧就會煮好。咁煲老火湯咧就大約要成3個鐘嘅喎。咁食材裏邊嘅水溶性維生素，咁即係咧維生素 B 同 C 咧，就會喺我哋煮食加熱個過程中流失㗎。咁所以，但係咧嗰個脂溶性維生素咧，就譬如維生素 E 啊、礦物質等等咧，都會留喺湯水裏邊嘅喎。咁食材咧喺佢煮到1個鐘嘅時候咧，其實湯水裏邊咧嗰個營養咧已經係去到最大嘅濃度㗎啦。咁如果我哋繼續煮落去過分咁樣去煮咧，係會引致所有水溶性嘅維生素流失啦。咁所以咧湯水裏邊咧即係煲得太耐嘅話咧，就唔一定係最好啦。咁同埋咧，湯水裏邊咧係含有一定份量嘅澱粉啦、礦物質啦，同埋嘌呤嘅喎。咁所以如果患有糖尿病、高血壓、腎病、痛風等等咧，其實係唔適宜飲得過量嘅。咁所以最好建議咧，就1日最多飲1碗就夠啦。
Okay. So your standard soup, usually you just cook within an hour and you can serve it. With double boiled soup or a lot of herbal Asian soups, you cook for more than 3 hours. What happens during this cooking process, though, is that some of our water-soluble vitamins, such as vitamin B and C in our ingredients, will be lost during cooking and heating, while the fat-soluble vitamins, such as vitamin E and minerals, are more likely to be retained in the soup. The ingredients are cooked for about an hour at first, and then as the nutrients in the soup have reached the maximum concentration, we would boil it again. And overcooking, though, may lead to the loss of water-soluble nutrients in the double boiling method. Since the soup contains a certain amount of starch, minerals, and purines, people with diabetes, high blood pressure, kidney problems, and gout should not drink an excessive amount of it. It's recommended to drink no more than 1 bowl a day.
咁同埋咧，好多人會覺得咧，老火湯裏面有鈣喎，可以補鈣喎。咁但係問題咧，就係骨髓裏邊嘅脂肪，係相比起鈣質咧，更加容易融入喺我哋個湯裏邊啊。咁所以我哋嗰個老火湯咧，當中係要飽和脂肪為主嘅喎。咁就算我哋咧，好似頭先咁撇走面上面嘅油脂咧，但係咧好多喺裏邊嘅脂肪係冇可能咧俾我哋整走嘅。咁所以咧，如果我哋萬一我哋嘅食材係用豬骨啦、原隻雞啦、魚頭啦，又或者魚腩等等做煲湯嘅材料咧，咁我哋就會大大增加湯裡面嘅脂肪含量啦。咁所以就會營養師就會建議改用啲瘦啲嘅肉啦，譬如瘦肉啦，大家都知豬展啊、去皮去骨嘅雞肉。腩頭或者魚尾咧嚟到代替頭先我哋講嘅好高脂肪嘅食材。
Okay, and we may have heard that bone broth and bone marrow soup comes with a lot of health benefits, but in truth, the fat in the bone marrow dissolves into the soup more easily than calcium, and it is mainly saturated fat. So even if the fat on the surface of the soup is skimmed off, there will still be a lot of fat that is difficult to remove. In addition to pork bones, using ingredients with high fat content, such as a whole chicken, fish head, fish belly as soup ingredients will also greatly increase the fat content in the soup. So it's recommended to use low-fat protein sources like pork, skinless or boneless chicken, or fish tail instead.
咁今日我哋煮呢個牛肉羹對大家有咩好處咧？咁其實牛肉嘅營養係好豐富㗎，佢有豐富嘅優質蛋白質啦、維他命 B12、B6、磷、鐵同埋鋅嘅喎。咁牛肉所含嘅鐵質咧係比豬肉、羊肉甚至係魚多嘅。咁適量咁樣去食，可以補充我哋嘅鐵質啦，可以幫助我哋咧預防缺鐵性貧血，咁亦都可以幫助我哋增強肌肉，同埋所以咧係好適合啲運動員食嘅。咁牛肉亦都可以增強呢個免疫系統啦。喺呢個疫情期間咧，咁就可以幫我哋對抗呢一個病菌啦。
Okay, so what are some of the health benefits of this dish? Beef is one, it's rich in nutrients, which offers high quality protein. It has vitamins B12, B6, phosphorus, and zinc. And also the iron it contains is much more than pork, lamb, and fish. Eating a moderate amount of beef can supplement iron and help prevent iron deficiency anemia, maintain muscle mass, improve exercise performance, support immunity, which is helpful during this pandemic. And just keep in mind, it's meant to be consumed in moderation as well as other types of proteins as well.
係啦，咁如果我哋適量咁樣食咧，係可以成為我哋健康飲食嘅一部分。咁不過咧，記住咧，揀肉嘅時候咧，就要揀最瘦嗰啲啦，同埋冇加工嘅。
It can be an excellent component of a well-balanced diet if consumed in moderation, again, but it's important to choose lean and unprocessed meats. 咁唔知大家知唔知道啦？特瘦嘅碎牛肉咧，即係今日我哋用嘅95%或者96%嘅瘦肉啦，因為佢係只有4% 脂肪嘅碎牛肉咧，其實係已經通過美國心臟協會心臟健康食物嘅認證㗎喎，咁所以咧佢可以成為我哋健康生活嘅一部分嘅。In fact, extra lean ground beef is now certified by the American Heart Association's requirements for heart-healthy foods as part of an overall healthy dietary pattern and are certified to display the heart check mark.
唔該moderator, can you please pull up the logo for the AHA ground beef? 咁喺你哋個熒光幕上面咧，就會見到有一個牌子嘅碎牛肉啦，佢寫住 extra lean 啦，咁就係超級瘦啦。咁最緊要咧就係睇到嗰個美國心臟協會嗰個認證喎，咁就係左手邊寫住 American Heart Association Certified。咁呢個標籤咧就即係代表咧美國心臟協會咧都已經認可咗俾佢去做到呢個認證啦。
Okay, and when you're shopping for this extra lean ground beef, make sure you're looking for the 96% lean and 4% fat. You'll see also the American Heart Association stamp of approval with the red check mark and a heart.
咁其實好難攞到呢一個認證㗎，因為我之前都喺心臟協會嗰度做過啦。我個工作就係去 check 呢啲公司，跟住邊一個可以攞到，係10個都唔知有冇一個。咁所以咧，你哋見到有呢個 logo 嘅標籤嘅產品咧，就知係好嘢啦。
Getting that heart check mark is not an easy thing to do. So based on the American Heart Association's criteria, the ground beef really does meet, go through a lot of different of the criteria in order to get that check mark. And so when you see any food items with that check mark, it's a good option for you if you're looking to eat heart healthy.
咁另外咧，大家唔知會唔會喺度諗正常嘅碎牛肉同埋特別瘦嘅碎牛肉有咩分別咧？
Do we know what the difference is between regular versus lean ground beef?
咁我哋平時煮食成日用嘅免治牛肉咧，其實真係有分肥同瘦嘅比例嘅。咁喺我哋揀免治牛肉嘅時候咧，咁亦都係最緊要係揀最瘦嘅百分比啦。頭先我哋講過啦，今日我哋用95% 嘅瘦肉啦，咁就盡量唔好買啲正常嘅免治牛肉喎。咁如果可以嘅話，我哋嘅 intern 可唔可以亦都將個 chart 擺上嚟？ Joanna 你可以翻譯。
Okay. Ground beef is available in a range of lean to fat ratios. So when choosing ground beef, you want to choose the lowest fat content, usually 95 to 96 instead of the regular ground beef. When you select 95% lean ground beef, it provides you're getting the lowest levels of cholesterol. It also offers the right taste and texture, especially for this recipe.
係啦，咁你哋大家睇到嘅咧，就係另一個牌子，亦都係有嗰個美國心臟協會嘅 logo 啦。咁另外我哋仲有一個 chart 俾大家睇嘅。
Okay, so you can see here there's two types of lean beef. And can we make that a little bit bigger? It's pretty small. Okay, and then, yeah, there we go. And both of them, they do show 96% lean and 4% fat. It's just different packaging.
And we're ready for the chart as well. 咁我哋講下有啲人或者會擔心，如果用啲超瘦嘅牛肉嘅時候，會唔會嗰個食譜煮出嚟嘅嘢唔好食啦？咁其實咧個味道其實都仲喺度㗎。咁同埋咧最緊要咧個口感唔會變啦，同埋要知道自己咧冇食咗咁多脂肪啊、膽固醇啲落去咧，其實都係好緊要嘅。
Many people worry that using very lean ground beef or lean meats in general is going to really change the flavor profile of a recipe, but with the right cooking methods and seasoning, it's going to taste just as good. But the important part is we know that we're eating a healthier option. And Priyana, we have a quick question in the chat. It was, could we add spinach to the recipe or 我哋可唔可以加啲韭菜入嗰啲湯度啊？
可以，任何你中意食嘅菜，你都中意可以擺上去。
Okay, yeah, you can add
應該係最尾個 step 擺入去。
You can add any type of vegetable that you want. We'd recommend adding it at the end towards the end of the cooking process.
And we're ready for the chart as well. Can we display the chart?咁大家咧喺你哋熒光幕上邊咧就睇到咧係有我哋就主要講頭嗰3個嘅唔同嘅免治牛肉啦、稅啦，咁有一個係80%、93%同96%。咁其實一望咧就望到咧個卡路里啦、total fat 即係總脂肪啦。跟住 saturated fat 飽和脂肪同埋 cholesterol 嗰個膽固醇嘅分別喎，咁所以咧最好咧都係買最瘦嘅牛肉，咁對大家嘅身體咧就會好啲啦嘅健康。
Looking at this chart, you'll see the breakdown, the difference between 80% lean, 93% lean, 96% lean ground beef. You'll notice the calorie difference, the fat difference, saturated fat difference. And so therefore, you know, you can tell from this chart that the more lean it is, the healthier it is for us. And it's even higher in protein as well. If you notice, the 96% lean has 25 grams of protein, while the 80% one has less.
咁請問大家有冇啲咩問題？我哋可以同大家解答。
Does anyone have any questions?
We have a question from the chat asking, could spinach be added into the soup?
Yes, Octavia, we actually just addressed that. And Brianna said we could add it at the end of the process, spinach or any other vegetable you'd like.
咁其實咧，除咗加任何菜之外咧，咁頭先 Joanna 講咗可以加豆腐啦，你哋亦都可以考慮加啲冬菇絲入去嘅喎，咁亦都係增強唔同嘅口感啦，同埋都好健康、好美味嘅。
Another great suggestion would be you can add mushrooms to the soup, which will give it a nice texture. Again, just to reiterate, if you can't do egg, you can also use tofu, silken tofu for this recipe to substitute the egg in this recipe.
有冇其他問題？
Any other questions? Actually,
Sorry, we have some canned questions. Do you want to go over now? Yes, so the first question is this recipe diabetic friendly?
Yes, 絕對係適合糖尿病患者嘅，因為佢有好豐富嘅蛋白質啦，咁所以係冇問題嘅。
Yes, so this is a diabetic friendly recipe. It consists mostly of protein choices and it's pretty low in carbs.
Thank you. And another question is, sorry, I'm on a low sodium diet. Can I have this one?
係可以㗎，因為我哋其實大家睇到我哋加嘅鹽分唔多啦，咁我哋都係主要係用牛肉本身嘅鮮味嚟到俾個 flavour 俾個味道啦，咁我哋冇加任何即係好多其他嘅調味料，所以如果你係要有高血壓啊或者心臟原因唔可以用咁多鹽咧，都可以食嘅，同埋呢一個咁大煲鍋咧係4至6人嘅份量嘅。
So yes, it's appropriate for someone who's following a low sodium diet. If you notice, we only use about 1 teaspoon of salt in the entire recipe, and this recipe is good for about 4 to 6 people. So the salt content is divided amongst 4 to 6 people. And overall, we didn't add any other sodium sources to it, with maybe a little bit from the beef, but then you can also feel free to add scallions or ground pepper to taste. And someone is asking, how would you incorporate the tofu in the recipe, Priyana?
我諗我都係會加蛋之前加咯，因為如果唔係 成日咁樣搞咧，驚佢會散，同埋豆腐都好快可以煮熟嘅。
You can add
會整豆腐粒。
You could dice the tofu, and then you can add it into the soup. If you're adding the tofu in with the egg, you would add it after the tofu because the tofu cooks pretty quickly and it can break apart pretty quickly if you want to keep it in dice form. But if not, even if it breaks apart, it'll kind of look like the egg in the dish, in the soup.
I think we have another question in chat that if someone is allergic to egg, how can we substitute the egg with something else?
都係唔加咯，唯有唔加嘅就係。
You can opt to eliminate the egg completely, or again, we can use the silken tofu or regular tofu to substitute the egg.
或者改為用豆腐。
So the last question we on the canned question. So do we have to worry about the cholesterol in whole eggs?
咁個問題係我哋使唔使擔心雞蛋裡面嘅膽固醇啦？咁其實咧，雞蛋嘅營養價值非常之高㗎喎。咁好多人咧其實都會擔心，咦，雞蛋好似好高膽固醇，我唔好食啦，我個膽固醇高啊。咁但係其實咧，當我哋食適量，最緊要係適量嘅雞蛋咧，係唔使擔心膽固醇過高嘅。反而咧，我哋係要提防其他嘢食，譬如全脂嘅奶類啦、肥肉啦，任何飽和脂肪或者反式脂肪嘅食物，咁即係所有油炸、甜品啊、蛋糕、餅乾啊、加工嘅嘢咧，嗰個脂肪咧，同埋膽固醇咧，就真係會令到我哋個 cholesterol 個膽固醇會高啦。
So there is this misconception that eggs having cholesterol is going to raise our cholesterol, but the truth is that eggs actually have very high nutritional value, and it's not the cholesterol in the egg that's raising our cholesterol. It's really things that, that saturated fats. So what we really need to pay attention to are things like whole milk, fatty meats, trans fats, and other sources of saturated fats like fried foods, desserts, cakes and cookies, bakery items, and other processed foods. These saturated fats and trans fats are what is going to raise our cholesterol content, versus with eggs, when eaten in moderation, it's not going to affect our blood cholesterol as much.
係啦，咁我哋講開膽固醇啦，咁其實最緊要降膽固醇嘅方法咧，就係要食多啲高纖維嘅食物，咁即係蔬菜啦，食啲水果啦，控制自己嘅重量好緊要啦，同埋一定要有規律嘅運動㗎喎，任何運動，譬如游水啊、散步啊、跑步啊、踩單車等等咧，都係可以調節膽固醇嘅好比例嘅好方法啦。咁反而咧喺天然嘢食裏邊，即係譬如蛋嘅膽固醇咧，我哋就唔使過分擔心嘅。咁同埋我哋今日咧咁大鍋湯咧，都係用咗2隻雞蛋，咁所以又有4至6個人食咧，咁所以平均分起咧個膽固醇嗰個含量唔高嘅。
Another great way for lowering bad cholesterol would be to eat more high fiber foods. We also need to control our weight. So we can do that by exercising regularly, such as swimming, running, cycling, any other sorts of exercise is a good way for cholesterol management. On the other hand, we shouldn't worry so much about cholesterol in natural foods. For instance, like eggs. And especially in this recipe, we are only using 2 eggs, but for a serving size of 4 to 6 people. So our cholesterol content, and as well as the saturated fat content in this beef, is divided amongst 4 to 6 people, so it's not too high.
有冇其他問題啊？
We have a question. It says, can you eat 1 egg a day? Agnes, absolutely you can. Sorry. Brianna, please.
可以，當然可以。個問題係每日可唔可以食1隻雞蛋？咁都係 補充翻啦，我哋唔使擔心蛋裏邊嘅膽固醇，但係要擔心咧就係所有加工嘅嘢啊，我哋中國人中意食嘅蛋撻啊，雞尾包啊嗰啲，即係所有焗嘅嘢咧，其實嗰個膽固醇會多啊，又或者啲蛋卷啊嗰啲，其實嗰個膽固醇喺度啦，所以我哋嗰啲就要特別小心啦。
Again, it's not the cholesterol from whole foods that we should really worry about. It's food that's processed, especially baked goods, like certain types of pastries, tarts, anything that requires a lot of butter, shortening, because that is a source of saturated fat.
咁如果冇其他問題嘅話，或者你諗緊嘅時候咧，咁我再想喺呢度好多謝大家今日去參加呢個烹飪示範啦。咁記住我哋下一個咧就係下年嘅1月18號，咁希望大家都會一齊再翻嚟參加。
Okay, so if there are no more questions, just want to remind you that our next cooking demo is January 18th. And this recording is also on our website, so if you can refer to it at any time. And if you think of any questions later, you can feel free to also pop it in the chat box while we're still here.
咁同埋咧，如果大家有任何嘅食譜你想我哋煮嘅話，下次煮嘅話咧，咁你可以發電郵俾我哋嘅喎。咁個電郵亦都係之前講嗰個啦，係 virtualsmartliving@aging.nyc.gov。
And if you have any ideas for recipes you want us to cook next, send your ideas to virtualsmartliving@aging.nyc.gov.
咁再講一次啦，大家咧唔好唔記得我哋個營養諮詢呢個服務喎，呢個係好難得同埋好好嘅服務啦，我哋希望你會好好把握呢個機會嘅。
And don't forget about our awesome nutrition counseling services. It's a great program, and we hope that everyone can take good advantage of it while you can.
咁同埋再提醒一下啦，所有中心咧都應該喺5月嘅時候咧收到 DFTA 關於計算網上教育單位嘅 email 啦嘅電子郵件啦，同埋上年12月份咧收到關於營養教育嘅備忘錄喎。咁你哋有啲咩問題咧，可以問翻你嘅計劃官或者營養師。
A quick reminder that all the centers and programs should have received an email in May from DFTA, from the Department of Aging, about counting virtual programming units, and a memo in December of last year about nutrition education. If you have any questions about that, please contact your program officer or nutritionist.
咁呢個活動咧係由我哋嘅 ACL Grant 補助金同埋紐約市老齡局贊助嘅。
This event has been brought to you by the ACL Grant Virtual Smart Living Initiative in partnership with the New York City Department for the Aging.
咁好多謝大家，再一次多謝你哋嘅參與啦，同埋祝大家有一個健康同埋快樂嘅新年。
Thank you all for attending, and we wish you a very happy and healthy new year.
咁我而家將個時間咧交翻俾我哋嘅主持啦。
And now we're going to hand the meeting back to our moderators.